This is El Capitan with Love Movies Hella. Today I will be reviewing Birdcage. Bird Box. Starring Sandra Bullock and Trevante Rhodes. Featuring the biggest star, Machine Gun Kelly. The movie starts off with Sandra Bullock, her and her sister. Oh, spoilers always. Her and her sister are talking about whatever. I guess she's depressed or she don't care so much that she's pregnant. And her baby daddy is MIA. So her sister takes her to the doctor. They're leaving from the doctor when the sister gets overtaken by the alien in a weird way where her eyes turn black or black stripes go over her eyes. So she crashes the vehicle that they're traveling in. And Sandra Bullock's pregnant. She wasn't hurt though. At least nothing happens to the baby. Baby's fine. She gets out for some reason. Let me get into Trevante Rhodes. He plays. You could tell that this. I think it was a book before. It was a book before The Quiet Place, which, everybody is comparing it to as A Quiet Place, but without, instead of not making a noise, you gotta freaking blind yourself. So, his character, Trevante Rhodes, you can tell, was written for a white character, a white person. And Trevante Rhodes must have came into the audition and killed it. Or they was impressed by what he did in Moonlighting, or was it Twinkle? Something like that. Twinkle liked that movie. 'Cause he just kept doing stuff that brothers would not do. And so he picks her up, and not to be stereotypical and say that black people can't do some of these things, but to do all of it, it's just like, okay, it's not written. And not to say that we wouldn't do the same thing, but we wouldn't do it that way. It may end up being that same thing, but we wouldn't go about it with those steps. He was just gun-ho. He played the gun-ho, jump without looking type action, hero. Just, jump in front of a truck when you could maybe stick an arm out to save the person. And like, I'm going to jump my whole body out. He was basically Jack from Lost, cause he just kept he runs and picks up. Maybe this wasn't a white move. This was just to probably get in the house. He picks up Sandra Bullock and brings her to the house that John Malkovich and B.D. Wong was in. I guess I wasn't paying close attention because I wasn't too sure whose house it was. I think it was B.D. Wong's house. So he picks her up, brings her in there. They go all in there, and Machine Gun Kelly's in there, and my boy Lil Rail's in there, looking like he's special needs. This fool had on a vest like a little goofy vest with a backpack on. But that's kind of funny because they made him, you come to find out, he was the person who had the answers. That's why when he was talking, when he started talking and he went deep, that's actually the brilliance of this movie. They gave him the guy, he's the guy who's going to explain it all. But when you see the freaking backpack and the goofy vest, if he ain't saying something funny, and I know him to be a comedian, if he ain't saying something funny, I kind of like zoned out with what he was talking about. Like, whatever. You know, waiting for the next scene to come up. I kind of shook that off. Like, oh, that ain't important what he talking about if it ain't funny. But come to find out, and I was waiting for the answer to come. Okay, like, what is this alien? Why do they have to cover their eyes? What is going on? So you tuned him out, you know, waiting to get that answer, and it never comes. So yeah, they go in the house, and it's BD Wong did well for himself. Looks like a nice big old house, but they start running out of food. You had what? Probably about 7-8 people in the house. So eventually they start running out of food. So they had the brilliant idea of jumping in the vehicle. Thank God it was a new car that BD Wong had, because it had sensor detection on the front and the back, and they came up with okay, let's go to Little Rails where he used to work. He worked at a grocery store, and get some food. Now what they should have did was do that drive, and then once they got inside, saw that it was secure. Okay, super black man, you jump back in the car, go get everybody else and bring them here. Because it's like, okay, y'all gonna run out of food again, and you just gonna have to make this dangerous trip again where you're driving basically blindfolded. You can't see nothing. So yeah, they didn't do that though. Trevante was trying to flirt with Sandra Bullock, and Sandra, who does a great job, but I don't like when they make things like, even though it's a movie and it's like everything ain't gonna be realistic, but it's like, come on now, the simple things you can make realistic. So Sandra Bullock is pregnant in the movie for pretty much half the movie. She's blindfolded when she gotta go outside, but somehow she managed to have her makeup on fleek in every scene. Come on now. The makeup's on fleek, and you down supplies and everything, but I guess you had a super makeup kit in that bag, because it was on and popping. So anyway, John Malkovich his character is kind of like would represent, like normal people pretty much. Even though he was probably a little meaner than normal people, but just a little bit more. He was like, nah, you know what? We was trying to, bring this food to the house, but hell, this is our new house. We should stay here. And, Sandra Bullock was like, we're not gonna be a-holes. That's what a-holes would do. We're not gonna leave those people behind. They need our help. We need our food. Which, she's right and they wrong. They need to be here. So you got the black dude trying to be super white dude. Let him go out, get the rest of them people, bring them back here. Now y'all got food galore. So here's another, and Little Rail too. Little Rail's in the movie, and they had him. You could tell his character was originally written for a white guy. So they hear like a banging at a door, and it's a guy in there. He's talking about let me in and whatnot. John Malkovich is like, nah, don't open it. Trevante, with his Oreo self, was like, yes, let's open it. I'm opening it. I'm doing it. He didn't even want to think. He didn't think about it at all. Like, well, maybe he's lying, or, maybe it's not all good. That was the first thing he said. I'm opening it. So they trying to open up the door. And they asked some questions while they opened up the door, and Lil Rel was like, hey, I know him. He work here. He was in jail, and then he got this job. I was like, he was in jail? Slam the door. Nah. On second thought, nah. You know what I'm saying? We in survival situations. Well, I don't know what he did. Shoot, he could be a rape kingpin, and I gotta live with this dude and doing survival times. Shoot, but nah, they kept trying to open up the door, or he was pushing. I think he was pushing by then. The guy was pushing his way through, and Little Rail, his inner white kicked in, and he was like, no, and ran at the door and tackled the dude, and then they slammed the door on him. He's dead. Like, what brother's gonna do that? What brother's gonna, I mean, maybe run over there, punch the guy in the face, and then slam the door, but we ain't gonna sacrifice ourselves jumping through the, and ain't none of them our kids? We gonna sacrifice ourselves. We ain't got our kids in there. Ain't none of them family. Nah, this is right for the clan. So he just jumps through, sacrifice himself for people he don't know, or people ain't family. Which him doing something besides, it's not that he did something. It was like what he was doing. First of all, he was standing there, and it was sounding like it was going bad because the guy was pushing his way through the door, and Little Rail was just staring at the whole time, like at the guy. What if because at that time it wasn't clear if you look at the people, you can turn into the things. You could turn into, your eyes can turn black and you will kill yourself. So it wasn't clear at that point of what was turning people crazy. Is it looking at the people who have whatever, or is it looking into the sky? So yeah, he sacrificed himself. They got the food, left, went back. Then it skips around too. So it skips where Sandra Bullock is talking to two kids. So it's like, oh, she had twins. And then, come to find out she didn't have twins. Another woman that they let in who was pregnant, that was actually her child. And that's where the movie gets good because the little girl isn't hers. And the very thing that she said to John Malkovich, she ended up turning into John Malkovich because she was gonna sacrifice that kid to make sure that her and her son got down the river safely, because they was going down a river to get to this place that is supposed to be their heaven. So at the very last minute, she was like, nah, I can't do this. I gotta stick with, she's my child. So she didn't sacrifice the kid. Yeah, so it flashed around. I don't even remember them leaving the house. And I don't even think it showed it. It didn't show them actually leaving that house. So when they got back, Machine Gun Kelly and another girl who, I mean, she just said she was a cop. She comes into the house. Machine Gun Kelly takes like 3 pills or something. And she says, I'm a cop. Like, so? What that got to do with... First of all, you don't even know if this is my house. You just came up in here. And these could be Flintstone vitamins for all you know. How the hell... So, yeah, they took the car. That's another reason. How did they get out of there? Because they took the car. I don't remember. I guess I gotta go see it again. So they took the car. Then it flashes like 5 years earlier. It's only... oh, wait a minute. They took the car. Well, there's a big old scene where they let another guy in. And this guy turns out to be the ones who can actually look at the sky, turn your eyes black, and then still be able to live, because they're crazy. They're crazy people, so they like that it's dysfunction, because it's supposed to, when you look at the sky, it shows you, or you look wherever the invisible alien is, it shows you your worst nightmares or fears or whatever. So if you crazy, you actually like that, and that's cool with you, and you want everybody else to see it too. So so he comes in, he tears down because they had the windows covered, he tears that down, he kills people. Sandra Bullock and the other pregnant lady, they have the 2 children. He was responsible for killing the girl's mother, who was pregnant, ended up killing her by taking the stuff off the mirrors, the windows, so she could see the sky. Yeah, so anyway, it skips ahead. They're out of the house. She names the kids girl and boy. She trying to raise the kids tough to survive that way of life. And they get caught up with the crazies. Freaking Trevante, it finally catches up to him, being super black guy, and he has a little shootout with the crazy ones, and he say, forget this, I ain't going out like... That's where his blackness came back. He was like, I ain't going out like no punk. Y'all want me? He took the blindfold off his eyes and shot back at a few of them. He took his time though. It's like, I would have frantically took the blindfold off, shoot as many people as I could, put the blindfold on, and went back to being blind. But nobody did that with urgency. It was like, And that's what I didn't like either. It's like, okay, you know something about to go on. Don't just stand there and look at it. Try and survive it. But he didn't. Anyway, they go down the river. And at the end of the river, that's supposed to take them to a place where they'll be safe. And they get there and she finally names them. Oh. So, the good thing about this movie is that if you do like I did and don't pay attention to some stuff, you'll have to watch it again, or you'll look for answers. Like I was on YouTube looking at commentary explaining, okay, what went on, what were those things. And to me, that's anytime you can walk away from a movie, especially the movies that they make now, and you still thinking about it and you want to know more about it and research, I mean, it can't help to be good. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I want to know more about this. This thing is stuck in my head. And it's not for a bad reason. There's a lot of things you wish you could unwatch or unsee, but, this is actually a good thing. So, it's good. Now, is it a classic? And that's what I rate everything on. Even though I haven't did this in a while because I forgot. So, right now, I still want to see it again. So, I guess right now it is a classic for me because I want to see it again. Because I can't remember them leaving that house. Yeah, so that's my review. Signing off.